what's everybody? How's it hanging? How's it happening? You guys know who this is. This is Kevin from the Chord Progression Podcast. The podcast, Rolling Stone says, initiates profound discussions with rock and metal artists, allowing fans to discover the creative workflow of their favorite musicians and understand the factors that make the band succeed or fall from fame. We are all sponsored by Dark Fusion Systems, best for your custom computing needs. Get $100 off your entire bill. Code CVPod at darkfusionsystems.com. Link to the podcast below. Now let's go to our feature presentation. When we said profound discussions with rock and metal artists, discover the creative workflow of favorite musicians, and make them understand what makes the band succeed or fall from fame, this is the perfect artist right now. We have Jeris Johnson on the podcast with the brand new album Dragonborn coming out on August 23rd. We talk about the creation of Dragonborn, how Jeris makes music with all the influences that are in there, his philosophy around what makes great music, and what is making rock and metal so much greater today, and why we are not even at the peak yet of this new resurgence, and why he is so happy to be right where he is right now, ascending before that peak even hits. You guys ready for a fantastic episode? Oh yeah, let's go! Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, listeners of the Chord Progression Podcast. If you are in any kind of online space right now, whether it's Instagram, especially TikTok, where this dude has 1.7 million followers, you have for sure heard his music, and lately you've for sure seen his influence over a couple of different songs as well. You know him, you've seen him. He's got a brand album called Dragonborn coming out on August 23rd, and over the course of the fall of 2024, you can not only see him opening for Falling in Reverse, you can see him at Louder Than Life, you can see him at Aftershock, and then going on his own headlining run after that. So don't miss out on it, but find out about it right here. So please welcome Jeris Johnson to the podcast. So Jeris, welcome to the Chord Progression Podcast.
I have arrived.
I think it's probably the best way I've ever heard that kind of given. Is just like, everyone's like, hey man, how's it going? I just go, here, I am arrived. That's perfect. Yeah. Especially with the way the new album is too, so, woo!
Yeah, I gotta keep it in character, always. Yeah, man, glad to be here. Ready to talk about anything and everything.
Well,
all of the juiciest topics.
Well, juicy topic number one. The first thing I remember, one of the biggest things I've seen from you this year, of course, you're going on tour with Falling in Reverse, seeing how massive they have gotten, seeing how big of venues they're going to be playing with you there. But also, you had a writing credit on All My Life, probably the top song of 2024 right now. So, dude, how did all that come to get together where you're not only getting a writing credit on All My Life, but also you're going out and touring with Ronnie right now?
Yep. Well, yeah. In a month, basically. Ronnie's a good friend. Everything happened very naturally, just kind of over the course of time. The first tour I ever went on was the Falling in Reverse tour. But back then I didn't even really know him. It was more of a booking agent thing, I think. I guess I'm not 100% sure. But that was like the first tour that I ever did was that one. And it was kind of a weird tour because it was like just like post-COVID or still kind of COVID-y. So everyone was like still wearing masks and the bands were kind of like separated, and it was like it was just kind of a weird, it was a weird vibe for a first tour. It was good. It was an amazing tour. And definitely made a lifetime's worth of memories in a month of time, which was awesome. But that was the first time I'd ever really met him and stuff. And then we didn't really talk for another couple years after that. And I don't know. I just wanted to hit him up and see what he was up to. And I just ended up sending him a bit of the music before it had come out. At the time I think it was When the Darkness Comes or whatever. I just sent him and he was like, bro, this shit's fucking crazy. And he's like, I want to you want to write? Let's write. And he invited me over, and the first time we wrote All My Life. That was it. That was the first writing session we ever had. We wrote the fucking, song that can't stop being number one everywhere. So yeah, it was a good one. And then after that, we've maintained a really good friendship. And I mean, he's just a great fucking guy. His influence in the space is enormous now at this point. And it's been an honor to kind of have him sort of take me under his wing and put me on. And he's always promoting my songs and bringing me in on writing sessions or fucking with ideas and stuff. And it's just, yeah, it's awesome. It's so fun. I learn a lot from him. I bring a lot, of course, but I also learn a lot. And his workflow is pretty inspiring to watch. To be honest, it's pretty crazy. So yeah, just good guy, good friend, and when this tour came up, he was pretty adamant about me being on it, and I was like, well, you already know I'm fucking down as hell. So for sure. And it's been crazy to also watch him grow and shit as well. Cause like when we did that first tour, 3 years ago or whatever, it was like we were playing what, like anywhere between like two to 4,000 cap, venues, and now he's just exploded beyond, what anybody could have imagined. And now this tour is like 20,000 person fucking amphitheaters and shit. And it really reminds me, like I get impatient and I'm like, oh fuck, I'm so old. I'm 28. Fuck, I'm so old. And he's like, bro, dude, you have so much time. Like you can peak like 10, you got look at me, I'm 40, I'm peaking now. I'm bigger than I've ever been. Now I'm 40. It's just like it's really inspiring to see, to be honest. And it has definitely helped keep me level-headed and patient about how long it takes to build a truly good career. I mean, I've been doing music forever, but I've only really been doing music like super publicly and kind of since I got any attention for like 3 years. So I'm still very, very early and very new. And this upcoming album, Dragonborn, I had dropped one other album before, but it was so I don't even consider it to be
Mhm.
like I consider this to be my first album. Like I'm not even saying like my second album, my sophomore album. Like, no, this is just my album. This is like this feels to me like truly my first album, the one that I feel like genuinely proud of, that I feel like is reflective of who I am as an artist and a person, and just the sound I've kind of always wanted to bring to the table, and just now put together the pieces to figuring out how to execute that. So it was a lot of experimentation, for the early days of my public career, and I've tried a lot of different stuff, and some worked and some didn't, but I've really landed on a sound and a thing that I think is really true to me. And before I had not quite nailed that down, and now that I've nailed that down, it just feels really good. So
I have to say it should feel really good too, especially seeing over the course of the last couple of years, seeing how things have been building up. The fact that you're consistently connected with Ronnie, we've seen him grow over the years. Well, the first time I saw him play live was, I think, maybe in a venue in front of 2,000 people right before the pandemic hit. And then I think the last time I saw them was either Louder Than Life or headlining Upheaval last year. So it's like, how do you go from where, even to think about where you guys were touring back in like end of 2021, early 2022, because I know I was supposed to go to one of those shows, but it was the Chicago one where they were like mandating vaccines, and then that whole entire thing was a whole shit show in itself. But that was supposed to be like a 4,000 cap room, and now when you guys are going to Chicago on this tour, you're replaying the same place A Day to Remember and Rise Against would play in Chicago, and it's just outdoors, massive. So you're seeing the influence happen there, and you get to see too, like you said, you're only 28. Now you're making me feel like shit because I'm 29 over here. Like, goddamn, I'm no longer even close to where Jeris is at the moment. What the hell?
Oh man,
so
dude,
you can keep it.
Life is a marathon, not a sprint. And you see often, people that they say it takes 10 years to blow up overnight. And for me it's taken 15 years. And it's a marathon, not a sprint, and um I've come to realize that great art can be made at any age. And I think before I was a bit of a young fucking punk, thinking that like, oh, being young, you got all the answers and shit and everything. And I've just come to grow a lot, like as an artist, and realize that I'm only getting better over time, and I'll probably make the best shit I've ever made in my life when I'm like 40 years old, honestly. So I realize that it's a journey. Every song you make, every piece of art you make, everything you do is like a snapshot in time. You're always gonna outgrow it. You're always gonna look back and be like, oh fuck, I don't like my song from 10 years ago or whatever. And it's just the way it goes. That's how being an artist is, So I've realized that everything's just a snapshot in time. And while I love this album now, 10 years from now, I might be like, oh fuck, I knew nothing back then. I was making bullshit back then. Like now I'm really, making the great stuff. So, it's just the way it goes, man.
Yeah, but you have to take those steps too, because when you're talking about artists, you make it stuff that it's better on a little bit later going on after you learn a couple of things, you go out through the process a couple of times. Use Ronnie as an example. I mean, when he came out with the first album with Escape the Fate and Situations came out, it was like, boom, that hit. And then was he ever going to get bigger than that? Once Popular Monster came out, 13, 14 years later, the single, then all of a sudden it's like everything beyond that just keeps blowing up more and more and more. Think about a guy like Johnny Cash, who was popular back in the 50s and 60s with his songs, and one of his last songs covering Hurt by Nine Inch Nails ended up being one of the biggest tracks ever for him. And he was almost on his deathbed at that point. So when you're saying it's a marathon, you also understand that too, where it took you 15 years to get to that blow up moment a couple of years ago. And it could be another 10, 15 years before you get to that moment where it's even bigger, where you go from playing 1,000 cap venues to like 5,000, 10,000 and keep going and going. But the biggest thing is the people that you surround yourself with, the influence that you have, and you're not afraid to work with all those different influences and ideas and put them in your music, because we see that all over Dragonborn. When you listen from Dragonborn all the way to Finish Line, you see all the different ideas and influences come in here, and we see you working around them, working with them to try and make them the sound that you want, to present them the way that you want as well. So we're seeing a lot of that evolution happen, even from what your previous album was to when you first started blowing up. We're seeing that change sort of happen, that growth happen, but we're also seeing a lot of room to continue that, to see what other greatness might still come from you.
Yep. And I'm already on to the next. I've already started with the next album. You're always, as an artist, you're always like 2 or 3 years ahead of yourself in terms of like releases and stuff, because that's just the way it goes. It takes time to finish things, get them out, do videos, put together an album. Like I've been working on this album for 2 years, 2.5 years or whatever, and various the last song I did on the album I think was like Siren Song, and that was maybe 4 months ago, so I still added. But then the first one that I ever did was probably like 2 years ago. The idea kind of started 2 years ago, so it's all over the place. It just takes time, and it takes time to put something together that you're truly proud of. I mean, I could put together a collection of any first 10 songs I make, but typically when you're making an album, you got to throw a lot of shit at the wall, and it just starts evolving and coming together over time, and it gets clearer and clearer, over time. The first like 5 or 6 months of the album, I didn't quite like know exactly what the direction I was going in. I was trying a few different things, and I knew I wanted it to be like super cohesive, and like I wanted it to be like a concept album of some kind, or feel really like, oh, this is like a one vision thing. I didn't want it to just feel like a random bunch of singles just put together and like turned into an album because it's an album. I wanted to feel like, no, this is an album that was intentional and like was intentionally made. And that like light bulb moment probably didn't happen until like 5 or 6 months. And I think it was when I made Welcome to Valhalla, honestly. And I was like, oh, like this is like the fucking direction, or this is like the themes I want to touch on or whatever. And like this is like the brand of the album. So, and then then once those few first like light bulbs start going off, then you start making new ideas with all that in mind. You're like, oh shit, now this is coming together, and it's coming together, and you just like putting the pieces together over time. And it's very rewarding. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot of fucking work. And it takes a lot of time, and especially because I'm like self-producing. I self-produced a lot of the album with a couple songs, bringing a couple of my buddies in, and also my co-producer Sako kind of touching everything and polishing up everything pretty much on every song. I think there's a couple songs that he didn't, but yeah. So, but it was most of it was made sitting right here in my bedroom, just geeking out every day about how I can put it all together. So yeah, it just takes time. It takes time, man, to make something great, to make something you're proud of. And I wanted to be patient with myself, and I didn't want to settle on any song. It's like, no, I'm not gonna be like, oh, it's good enough. Oh, it's just it's like it's just an album song or something. It's fine. Like I wanted to like truly put in the fucking effort on every song, and not have any song where I felt like I like left something on the table where I was like, oh, I wish I would have spent more time on this or that, or like, no, I combed over every fucking inch of the album and made sure it was like exactly how I wanted it to be. And of course, now that it's done, of course there's things I hear where I'm like, oh, fuck, maybe I would have like done that, because it's always going to be like, that's never going to be perfect. But that's the thing, as an artist, you have to like accept that. And if you fall into that trap, then you'll end up never releasing anything because you'll always want to tweak something. And sometimes if you tweak something too much, you lose a bit of the magic that it had originally. And sometimes you have to go back to an old version or something. Be like, oh no, this was actually better before I changed it 10 times,
Yeah.
to be what it is now. No, I should go back. And just the whole process, man. It was a big spiritual kind of self-discovery process. And I think that that is reflected, in the music, and it just feels good. It feels good to have something that you're proud of. It really does.
Oh, I think any artist would agree with you that it feels good to have something you're proud of. And I think you've nailed everything about what is making music so great these days, especially in the rock and metal space. Because since the pandemic, since time has gone on with a lot of the artists I've been talking to, you're seeing a lot more time to be able to work on these ideas and work on these songs, work on these albums, especially with how big streaming is and with record labels not having as much power at times because more people are becoming self-produced, going independent. There is much more time to be able to let the album process take forward and not have it compressed into a certain time that's going to fit a monetary schedule. So the creativity can flow, the ideas can flow. You can throw as many things you want to at the wall and see what sticks and try different ideas. You can have the best possible outcome to really come forward and have that moment where when these songs get released, you know that you're proud of them. Of course, you might want to change some things every now and again, but the absolute idea behind them stands out. And I got to go back to your buddy Ronnie on that one, because taking a look at, from 2017, now we're getting the Ronald album this year, but the songs that have come out, it's like every single one, it took a lot of time to get to that point, but every one had a fully fleshed out idea and was absolutely the best possible thing that could come out. Otherwise, we wouldn't have gotten Popular Monster or Watch the World Burn or All My Life. We wouldn't have gotten songs like that had that not been the full idea behind it. So you taking that idea, you taking that mindset, especially when you're self-producing a lot of this, working with a couple other buddies as well, making the magic happen right where you're sitting, you've got the time to work with it. You've got the ability to, and it's not only going to help you out now, but it's going to help you out in the long run because you're going to learn new things at a much quicker rate and a much more efficient rate when it comes to music creation, producing, writing than you would if it was in a rush time period.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, it's that's a great point. You can tell by listening to the Falling in Verse stuff and the schedule, like you said, you drop like one song every 6 or 7 months, but like it would feel like a fucking event because you can tell just by listening to it, love it or hate it. Obviously there's people that don't like there's people that don't like any music that anybody would put out, but you can tell that the effort is there. And that's the thing. I think that's what people want to see too, is like you want to know that you don't want to just like listen to your favorite band and just be like, oh, it just kind of just sounds like they like made this song to go on the radio and it's just like whatever. It doesn't sound like they like cared that much or put that much effort into it. And when you listen to like new Falling in Verse stuff or some of the newer bands that have really blown up like recently, you can sense that there was a genuine effort put in to make whatever it is they wanted to make, and that's the best part is, you can't expect people to love your music if you don't love your music. And if that love and care isn't reflected in the music itself, because if you don't give a fuck about it, then how are you going to expect anybody else to give a fuck about it? So yeah, I think it's cool when I can listen to a song from an artist or from a band and I can tell that they put love and care into that song, and you can tell that it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be like, oh, some deep like personal song or whatever, but just you can tell that they tried. You can tell they really tried, and they put love and care into making something that they were proud of. And usually when that happens, it works because that's what making good art is all about. That's the point of it, is to put the love and care and the effort into making something that feels special. And it doesn't feel special unless you treat it like it's special. So.
And when bands have been treating like it's been special, especially in the heavy space over the past couple of years, we're really seeing those bands take over and really gain a lot of passion and following because people are connecting with them like that. Bad Omens, Sleep Token. Take a look at what Knocked Loose did this year with You Won't Go Before You're Supposed To. I mean, it's heavier than what they've done at times, and it's still authentic, and you can still tell they put so much care and passion into it, which is why when you go and see them play live now, they're playing in front of 3,500, 4,000 people a night for a hardcore band. It's like, how is this happening? But it's the passion, it is the authenticity, and it's the believability that you believe in your own music as well that is attracting people to it from all different sounds. And especially when listening through Dragonborn as well, because when I was listening through this album, you had so many ideas I could tell on this album. Like each song has a different idea, has a different concept to it. Even though it's all a very cohesive, flowing idea from track 1 to track 13, there's different ideas that you work with and you try so many different things. So you can tell there's such a vast array of knowledge and ideas from production even in your head. So even after we get through this, I feel like there's gonna be a lot of questions of what else is gonna come next on the next cycle, because there is so much yet to still be explored from your brain.
Yep. And we'll see. And I'm still exploring it too. We'll see. But yeah, I think that in the metal space in general, something that has held it back that now we're finally getting out of, and one of the reasons that it kind of fell off the map for a while, I think, in terms of public consciousness, in terms of relevance or whatever. And now that we're kind of up on the other side of it now, and it's like, oh shit, this feels kind of big again, is that it did feel like a lot of bands were just phoning it in for like probably 10 years. It was just like, felt like everybody was phoning it in and didn't feel like anybody was making anything special. It just felt like a lot of people just like, oh, we just got to keep the lights on, got to put bread on the table, so fuck, we're just not going to take any risks, not going to do anything, just going to make boring fucking slop and just hope that it works. And I think that the entire sound of the metal scene was pretty much like that. Of course, there's always exceptions to the rule, but I do think that the majority of like rock and metal music that was being put out for the past, prior 10 years was very much like, let's just phone it in and let's just keep the lights on. Let's keep touring. Let's keep trying to make money on merch. And so we don't have to go work at fucking Starbucks. And now you're seeing a bunch of artists finally break free from that mold, maybe in part due to what you said about like COVID, or like kind of it, like, because so many bands would just make something safe or boring and then just go on tour and just make money on tour and just keep going from that, or live off of the backs of their fucking first album that was the big one that had all the creative shit on it.
Yeah.
And then now that they weren't, bands weren't able to tour for like 2 years, it's kind of like, well, fuck, I guess maybe we should like make some music or try to get creative again, because fuck it doesn't matter. And I think that started like a little bit of this like renaissance that now we're just seeing the like fruits of, that it just like it spawned a wave of new creative shit happening in the rock and metal space. And it just feels good, man. It feels like everything, it feels bigger than us. It feels like God. It feels like destiny. It just feels like the whole energy of the scene has shifted now. And I think that we're still not even at the peak of it yet. I think it's probably going to be another few years, but I think that you're going to keep seeing really, really special rock and metal projects, maybe some new artists that we don't even know about yet. Maybe some artists, some younger artists like me or my buddy Kim Dracula, or these us type of artists that end up blowing up bigger than we even thought we could, or so, who knows exactly what's going to happen. But I do have this sense. I think everybody in the rock and metal world right now has this feeling of like, oh shit's we're about to be like in a golden age or something. Like because there's so much access now too. Like you said, like, I mean, I'm making, before, even 10 years ago, it was much harder to like for a kid like me, a solo person, to like make a metal project or whatever. It's like, but the tools and the technology and everything has advanced so much that, I can make a fucking stadium metal song just from sitting in my bedroom, if you put the time and effort in. And like before it was like, you have to do this, you have to do that, and you have to have all the pieces come together. You have to have a producer, you have to have engineers, you have to have full band. Yeah, everybody has to play their parts. You have to get together, write the parts. We have to retract the live drums. We have to do this, and a lot of shit has to come together. A lot of money has to be involved for it to be good. All this shit had to come together, and now it's like, if you're just dedicated and you have the vision, you can just sit there on your fucking laptop and make something special. If you're truly inspired. And I think that because of that, now the rock and metal space should, and I hope they do, embrace people like me that, aren't a full band, that are solo artists, or maybe it's a duo or whatever. Because that's the other thing. People don't realize, like, a lot of their favorite bands are kind of just one or two people making all the music
Hmm.
anyways. And in terms of the writing and everything. So I just think that now we have so much more access, so much more opportunity to be creative and make shit from our bedrooms, that like that is just gonna keep spawning all of these new, very special feeling projects. And I think that can only be a good thing, as long as the fans and the elitists or whatever don't fucking scoff at, and they will scoff
They
anyway.
will. Oh, they will.
But as long as the fans or the people embrace a new wave, I think that the best has yet to come from all of this stuff. So
I have to agree with you, and I want to add to that too. I think another reason why the best is yet to come is when you look at other genres that people have really gotten into, and this is just from a human experience, and even how rock and metal was. Let's go with from the 2090s, 80s, even before that. The prominence of the rock star that someone was able to look at and kind of have this intricate connection to, but be able to just watch and just see different things from. I mean, you think back 60s, the Beatles were rock stars. You had Mick Jagger, Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones. 70s, you had everybody from Zeppelin. You go to the 80s, all the hair metal bands. They made a movie about Motley Crue for Netflix for a reason. Go to new metal, Corey Taylor, Limp Bizkit, with Fred Durst. Jonathan Davis of Korn. Everybody that was in the pop punk and emo scene in the 2000s. When you got to the 2010s, though, that all went away. It was like every band wanted just to be, it was just the band. So there was no real human connection outside of the band. And like you said, everyone wanted to play it way too safe. If you made big stuff on your first album, you really didn't go beyond that. You didn't really try necessarily as much at times. We saw that a lot. That's why on rock radio still they're playing Welcome to the Jungle 3 times an hour. It happens. But ever since the pandemic hit and artists have gotten creative, but at the same time, people had to go and get their music from different places. So going to social media, going to TikTok, going to Instagram, it's not just like a SoundCloud thing. You're going to these places, you're seeing these people interacting, you're getting their songs, and you have the ability to go and then listen to the full thing afterwards and really get into them. But you're also seeing that persona of a rock star. Now you're going to start to be able to connect them more as an artist, because even though I'll put out for Taylor Swift, her music connects with a whole bunch of people. But if it was just a group, they may not be as big as Taylor Swift is as an individual, because people can relate to that a lot more. Seeing more of that in rock and metal and seeing more of the prominence of the rock star once again, it's adding to so much more, and we're seeing that continue to grow. I mean, you can use Ronnie as the perfect example of that. Alex from Slaughter Prevail, another great example of that as well. Will Ramos from Lorna Shore, just because of some of the crazy stuff he does online. It just adds to it. And you're really in a great spot with it as well, because of how you've done that with TikTok and seeing how you're going to be able to connect with so many other people with your music. You're kind of right in that perfect spot where, as we continue to peak and get to that golden age once again, you're right there and you're growing with it as it's growing.
Yeah, I think you just had the problem before was that you just had a bunch of people that were afraid to be weird, were afraid to be normal. Maybe they just aren't weird. Maybe they just are just average Joe people, whatever. That's fine. But art art is supposed to bridge the gap between humanity and God. It's supposed to, artists are supposed to connect you to something that you can't explain. And in order to do that, they have to be interesting or weird or different, because that, people that are different, that break your brain, that aren't just like an average person that you just see walking down the street, whether it's simply their look or their mentality or their opinions, whatever it is, like, it's good to be weird. It's good to be different, because that's what helps humanity connect to something else. And that's what great art and great music does, is it makes you feel, and it makes you connected to something otherworldly. And, without having people and personalities who are willing to be truly out there, I think that it goes away, and the music suffers too. So that's why, all the golden eras that you went through, all of those people and all those frontmen and stuff, they were so different than normal people that you just couldn't help but connect with them on a more spiritual level, because they show you something that maybe you didn't see before, or they help you connect to something that maybe you couldn't connect with before. And it's so important, man. It's so important to be a person that's different, be a person that's interesting. I mean, you don't have to force it. If you're not an interesting person, you're just not a fucking interesting person.
Hmm.
That's why there's not that many rock stars. The
Yeah.
rock stars because it's just who they fucking are. And, but what I do think is that it should be encouraged, because I think before it was discouraged, and that's why rock and metal suffered as like, oh no, we don't want to be, we want to be like a band. We're a unit, we're just a bunch of guys, we're a bunch of relatable, normal people, that are just like you. No, fuck, like why do I want the artists that are supposed to be bringing me that are supposed to be helping me fucking see God? Why do I want them to be just like me? I don't want them to be just like me. I want them to be unusual. I want them to make me feel uncomfortable. I want them to make me think. That's what great artists, great painters, great movie directors, great actors, like they are different, and different people are good because, nobody normal ever changed anything. Ever. Never in a million years. Nobody normal ever changed anything. And it goes the same for rock and metal and music at large. So I think it's very important to embrace your individuality, embrace what makes you you. And that's a lot of what I did on, Dragonborn. Like, yeah, is a fantasy themed metal hip hop crossover album gonna be for everybody? Probably not, but it combines everything that I truly love, what I love to make, what I'm into, all the nerdy shit I'm into, all the cool shit I'm into, and it combines all of it. And you know, yeah, it's not gonna be for everybody, but I didn't make something to be for everybody. And by the way, neither did Slipknot or Korn or fucking whoever else, any of the greatest bands or artists we look up to. They didn't make something because they thought it would be successful. They made something that was true to them and was what they loved and what they wanted to create and what they wanted to manifest. So I think that now we're on the other side of it, and you're starting to see a lot of rock and metal artists that are just making something that's true to their spirit. And you can tell, man, people have an intuition about whether something's authentic or not. I can listen to a song, I listen to 30 seconds of your song and know immediately whether you made that because you thought people would like it or whether you made it because you like it. I can tell immediately. Exactly. And a lot of people either have it or they don't. That's what it is. It kind of comes down to
Yeah.
that. And great, legends are rare, and that's why they're legends. So yeah, they're going to be few and far between, but I just think we should encourage people to truly embrace whatever makes them completely unique, and whatever influences they have. That, I'm unique because I like this brand of metal and this brand of hip hop and this
Mhm.
brand of this thing, and I like these games, I like this thing. And maybe a lot of people that would be into those things individually don't like the other things I'm into. So that's why I'm combining them all, because that's what makes me me. And I want to encourage everybody, even just listeners or anybody, to just, a lot of the themes on the album is truly embracing your true individuality, your true authentic self, and not running from that, but rather embracing that. And I ran from that for myself for a long time. For a long time, my music was definitely like, I was trying to make things that I thought people would think was cool, or I thought people would like, or I thought it was gonna get me girls, or I thought was whatever, and that's what I was doing. And this album, I said, fuck everybody else. I am truly just going to make something for me, for my spirit. I don't care if people don't think it's cool. I don't care if people think it's corny or fucking nerdy. I don't care what, whatever. I mean, I don't care. I want people to enjoy it. I
Yeah.
want to have fans, people enjoy it, and there will be people that enjoy it. But, I wanted to make something for my spirit. And I think that's why it's so good. And I think that's why it's going to be received well, is because I think it's going to come across. And I think that's just what makes great artists great. When you listen to any great artist nowadays or any great band that's done anything big, you can tell that they made it because they love it and they want to make it. And that's what makes it special. So,
oh yeah, you could tell that you made this and you absolutely loved it because you combine like the ideas around like fantasy and more of a, because I know like you can throw in all this nerdy stuff in there too. You throw in like the Dungeons and Dragons influence. There was a piece of there, Viking Age. There was even some like, from my perspective, I thought like Irish music meets sea shanty type stuff mixed with rock, metal, hip hop, a lot of production back there. But it's all the stuff that you like coming together and you're making it authentically for you. And no one's really done something of like all these different ideas coming together because not everyone's into that stuff, but you are. So you put it all together. And there's going to be detractors that don't like it because it doesn't fit into a certain box. There's going to be people that accept it completely because it's different, because it's weird, and because it involves that, you know, unique style of personality that you have that we want to have in the people that are creating the music because it's going to show us a completely different perspective. And from my perspective, it's like, are there songs that I'm not the biggest on this album? Of course. Are there songs that took me back? I'm like, I can't believe all this mixed in there and it really worked out to what hit me. Like, Here's to the Years. I'm like, this reminds me of like sea shanty Irish music that I absolutely love, but it's fast paced, it's energetic, it's fun, and it has a metal drive to it. I'm absolutely in for this. Or songs like Down with the Dynasty, Ode to Metal. I'm like, these are the songs I know are for me. Are there some that I'm not the biggest on? No, but you can tell they're authentic. You can tell that you put the time and effort to make this yours. And whether or not people are going to accept it, it's whatever. Just give it a chance. And you're going to find something you like in there. That's the best way to put it. You're going to absolutely find something you love in there. And then you're going to become, hey, I want to go see Jeris live. I want to see this song live. You're going to see Jeris live. You're going to get to see him perform more. You're going to get more into the music. And then you're going to get more into the overall capacity that is Jeris Johnson. And, you know, we might have another blowout moment instead of 15 years in the making, maybe 10 or 5.
Yeah. Hopefully. We'll see.
That's what we're hoping for, man.
Yeah. But, you know, I agree with all that. And yes, there obviously will be plenty of people that don't like it and plenty of people that do like it. And that's fine. And it doesn't matter, by the way, because what matters is, you know, like there's a bunch of songs on this album that it sounds weird to say, but like that I was just genuinely so proud to make that I almost didn't even care if they ever came out. I'm just glad I made it, you know, because that's what it's all about, you know, making shit that me and my friends and, you know, my close people in my life that I play and we sit there and just fucking laugh because it's awesome and it just feels great, you know, like that's what I make music for. And the gift is to share it with the world. So obviously I'm going to share it with the world. Otherwise, you know, what's the point? But you know, there were so many songs on the album that I was just so genuinely proud of making that it almost didn't matter if it ever came out because I already got the feeling I wanted from it, which was just to make it, just the gift of going through the process of making it. And that's when you know that you've really landed on something, is if you make something and you're like, bro, I just love that I made this. And it's like, no matter what people think about it, it doesn't even matter because I'm just so glad that I made it. And that's all that really matters at the end of the day, because that's what you make art for. I didn't get into this making music till I go like, oh, I just want to make money and that's it. I just want to make money and whatever, you know, this is a business or something. Like hopefully nobody starts making music because they just want to make money or make it into a business. You know, you get into making music because you love to play music, you love to make music, you love to write music. And you know, the good thing about making music is you get to make your perfect type of music. You get to make whatever's in your heart, whatever you want to hear. Because like I love all these different bands, I love all these different genres, but like nobody can make the perfect song for my ear other than me. So that's what you should do as an artist. You should make whatever you want to hear, whatever gap, whatever, you know, maybe you love a lot of different bands, but whatever it is that you feel like is lacking out there in the world, that's what you get to make. That's the gift. You get to make your perfect song, your perfect album. And yeah, that's just the most fun part, man. And it's the most important part.
And now we get to see and listen to that all when the album comes out on August 23rd. So everybody get ready because the music of Jeris Johnson and it's all its glory is coming your way. But Jeris, we're coming up on time. I've got one last question before we wrap this up. And I'm happy I get to ask you this because I feel like there's going to be some crazy answers on this. But I love to ask every artist this question because it allows us to get to know the music you love, but also get to know more bands that we should be checking out. So, Jeris, can you name me 3 bands or artists that you love that you would love to see more people get into?
Yeah, yeah. More people get into. That's the interesting thing there because I could
Yeah.
tell you, a bunch of big bands that have inspired me and stuff, and I probably should just say what has, influenced me the most for this particular album or just what I was listening to the
Okay.
most when I was making this album. And there's definitely like probably 3 artists that I was playing the most. One of them is Amon Amarth, which, if you're familiar with them, is
Yep.
like, true Viking metal, literally. But I was just so inspired by their riffs and their like shockingly good songwriting. It's like so good. Like the riffs are so catchy. The songs are like really simple, but like you can tell they like really craft like the verse and the pre-chorus and then the way it goes in the choruses and like even though they're like a melodic death metal band or whatever, like I just think that the songwriting is so good and I really appreciate when bands just do one like it's like what you're gonna get when you listen to somebody like Amon Amarth and they just do that one thing and they just do it so well and that really helped me get into the vibe and inspired a lot of like, oh, what if I did like a more like modern kind of
Hmm.
twist on that type of thing. So I really listened to a lot of them. The another obvious one that a lot of people have pointed out is Avenged Sevenfold and the influence of that all over the album. They were my favorite band growing up. It's one of the main things that got me into metal music in the first place when I was like 14, 15 years old. One of my first concerts ever was Avenged Sevenfold. What got me into wanting to play guitar, Sinister Gates and everything. And the thing I loved most about them was just their melodic sensibility and their musicality and everything, just the beautiful chord progressions and the soaring melodies that fucking give you chills and the catchy and amazingly well written guitar parts and guitar solos and all that stuff just really inspired me and even the creativity, they have some of the craziest songs ever made. I mean, not just on their, brand new album,
Hmm.
but on all the old stuff, they always showed glimpses of that super crazy creative, like on like Little Piece of Heaven or whatever. It was just like, bro, I've never heard anything like this. Like this is just crazy. Just like wildly like, genius level like music writing and like the journeys that the songs would take you
Hmm.
on, even on their most like singles, you'd always at the end of it feel like that was a journey. And I really love songs that take you on a journey and make you feel something like that. And that type of songwriting really inspired me, on this album. And I just kind of wanted to take it a step further and maybe do some things that they would never do, or maybe they just couldn't do being a band, or and obviously bringing in some of the more like hip hop influences and some of the other production choices that I've made for the album, like kind of bringing it a bit more into Gen Z territory with some of the other influences that I've had growing up, and when I kind of went away from metal and into other genres that I really like trying to mash those worlds together. And third artist, which is massive, and not like but not a metal artist that I've just loved. It's probably my favorite hip hop artist over the past recent time period is Yeet. I don't know if you're familiar with Yeet, but very, very, very fucking popular. Just massively blew up over the past like few years, and just very forward thinking, very boundary pushing. The production choices just always blow my fucking mind. Always sounds so ahead of the curve. Always sounds so futuristic. The fucking vocal, the wild risks with the vocals, which I'm sure I know he would not be popular with metal fans, but just something about Yeats music has just always really scratched a certain itch for me and just inspired me in a lot of ways because it's so off kilter, so weird, so interesting, so boundary pushing, and a lot of the like hip hop influences and some of the beats and stuff are definitely took a couple pages from that book. So those were the 3 kind of main artists I feel like I was listening to probably the most, you know, and there's a little bit of Metallica and stuff on the out, a little bit of Metallica influence, and you know, I've kind of been obsessed with this, like making something that feels classic right away, but also uh, still maintaining a little bit of that forward thinking, like boundary pushing appeal, like on Story of Our Lives, like the main riff of Story of Our Lives, just there's something about it that just feels iconic, feels classic, feels like you're fist pumping fucking
Mm-hmm.
100,000 person Germany like rock and metal festival, you know, like type of riff, and just the four on the floor like rock, that like almost like super old school like
Yeah.
metal kind of like thing. You know, I feel like a lot of people don't pull from that anymore, and it's a lot of just like drop A, dun 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 dun, you know, halftime shit. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like people don't do enough just like just fucking straightforward like classic like rock metal riffs anymore. And I wanted to do that, but still have sections in those songs that like feel new. And oh yeah, well, this is where it
Mm-hmm.
changes from, yeah, this part was like inspired by fucking Metallica or Avenged Sevenfold or something, but this other part in the song is definitely not. You know, this is where it gets separated and stuff. So I've been kind of the whole album, I was very obsessed with like making shit that felt kind of classic and a little bit throwbacky, but like totally new at the same time. And I think when you can do that, that's when you birth something new, because you know every band, every great artist has influences, and
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna wear those on your sleeve no matter what. But it's what you add onto those influences that makes it its own thing, you know. So that's what I've tried to do on the album, and hopefully I have done that successfully. So
I'd say I think you did, and I love the fact that you brought those three influences as well as the bands to check out. Yes, they are bigger, but hey, still go check them out so you can see where the ideas came from for these songs and see how Jeris got influence on Dragonborn. And man, I want to thank you for taking the time today. I really appreciate it. I'm going to close out this episode with three things. First things first, Dragonborn comes out on August 23rd. Jeris is also going out on tour with Falling in Reverse in September, and then going out his own headline run in October of 2024 as well. Best thing to do, go script from the podcast where it says find Jeris Johnson online. Links, labels for everything from social media where you can follow along with them, where you can stream the album, pre-save it, download it, buy it, and where you can go get concert tickets and get some merch as well. So go support Jeris, because give it a couple of years. This dude might have another blow up moment. 5 more years in the making. You never know, but why not be there with them when it happens? Now, step for number 2. Whenever I've guests in the podcast, I enjoy the podcast. I tend to make a certain promise, a way to say thank you, and I would love to continue to support you again in the future. So this is the promise I make. It is a when, because that implies this is going to happen. We just don't have a day or time. When I get to see From Life for the first time, I will find a way to come find you. I will say hi to you, but the promise really is that first round's on me.
good, love that.
Yeah, it's just good. Well, yeah, good. And
Good.
now it's time for number 3. Now I cannot end this podcast by saying goodbye. That is way too final. Plus, I made you a promise, and I would love to be back on the podcast again in the future to talk about more new music and to see how Dragonborn does. On top of that, just see how you continue to grow and continue to support you. So, Jeris, this is not goodbye, my man. This is, I'll see you later.
Yep. See you later, bro.
Well, folks, this is my interview with Jeris Johnson. Now it's time for Kevin's final thought. And when it came to Jeris, I really didn't have much of a connection with Jeris before this episode. I mean, yeah, I knew who he was. I knew he was going out with Falling in Reverse. I knew Ronnie really had a big, liking to him, but never really understood why. After about that 50 minutes of talking to the man, I am now fully on the Jeris Johnson train, and here is why. The dude might not be making the music that you particularly are fond of. He might be making songs that you absolutely love. But the key here is he is putting what he wants into him. He is making the music that he wants to make, and he's taking time to make sure it's the exact same way that he wants it. It's going to sound great to him. And if you're going to like it, that's fine. If you don't like it, that's fine. If you like certain parts of it, that's fine. Like listening through Dragonborn. Like I said, here's to the years, Down with the Dynasty, and Ode to other songs that I really, really like from him. And I can't wait to see more of what he does. But his idea of music, what's making rock and metal so great right now, why he is absolutely embracing that, but also putting so much more into his music and making sure the authenticity and the passion is fully out there. I mean, when you're mixing fantasy, like Dungeons and Dragons type stuff, historical stuff, medieval times, Renaissance fair type ideas and sounds, in with production, with hip hop, in with rock and metal, in with Irish music, and in with sea shanties, you're going to get a lot of wild stuff. And there are a good amount of songs in here where you can see that all happen. And some you might like, some you might not. But when it comes to the man as a person and when it comes to his entire idea of making music, I can't wait to see what this guy does even beyond this. This guy is somebody that you absolutely want to be, in the know with and watch him grow in his career because, yeah, it took him 15 years to get to that point of blowing up on TikTok and getting a lot more notoriety. Give it another 5. Who knows where he's going to be. But remember, this journey is a marathon, not a sprint. I want to thank Jeris for being on the podcast. Go straight to the podcast below where it says find Jeris Johnson online. Links levels for everything. Follow him on social media. Check out the album when it drops. Go see him on tour. And, of course, get some merch as well. Be sure to subscribe to the Chord Progression Podcast right down here. New episodes every single Tuesday and Thursday. Reactions every Friday as well. Hit the like button right down here because that's always a good idea. If you're on Spotify for podcast, hit the follow button and hit the like button. Our socials for Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram are in the description of the podcast below. We post a lot of wacky stuff there and a lot of clips from the podcast as well so you can see who's on and get a nice little preview of the episode before you check it out. And I want to thank Jeris once again. This was a fantastic conversation. So that's going to be it for me today, everybody. Thank you for watching, listening to the Chord Progression Podcast. My name is Kevin, and you guys know how I end every single one of those big, healthy, and hearty. See ya! Yeah!